The downfall of Lady Snowblood. Lady Snowblood, a diligent assassin trained from birth to pay vengeance to those who wronged her mother. Or at least, that was her motive in the first film. In the second film, Lady Snowblood, Love Song of Vengeance, Lady Snowblood moves on from personal vengeance, considering she no longer has anyone to hold a grudge against, since she succeeded in her life goal and killed the bandits that tortured her mother. This being said and done, it makes you wonder what the sequel could possibly be about. After all, she achieved her life mission. What else is there to do? This is where Love Song of Vengeance goes downhill. While it's an amazing movie on its own, having to live up to the original film is difficult considering the first film ended in such a way where a sequel wasn't needed. If anything, the creation of the second film weakens the message of the first. Initially, in the original film, the audience is left guessing as to whether Lady Snowblood lives or dies after being stabbed by Koboe, the daughter of one of the men she sought vengeance on. This ending allowed the audience to understand the ruthless cycle of vengeance, that an eye for an eye makes the world go blind. But this message only works if Lady Snowblood's ending is left a mystery. The moment we know she survives in the Love Song of Vengeance, the message is no longer as impactful. That's not to say that vengeance is glorified in the Love Song of Vengeance, considering Lady Snowblood still has to deal with the consequences of ruthlessly assassinating people. But instead of focusing on Lady Snowblood growing as a person or achieving peace after spending her whole life seeking vengeance, the sequel instead delves into politics. And don't get me wrong, a film that's complex and calls out its real-world counterparts for being corrupt can be really impactful. But that's not what Love Song of Vengeance is. Instead, it's a film focusing on having as many action scenes as possible without having as much of an emotional impact. This is something a lot of viewers noticed, an example being Ethan Mage. In his article, Good Bad History, Lady Snowblood 2, Love Song of Vengeance, in which he states, Love Song of Vengeance is not as up to snuff as its predecessor. On the surface, it's just another prototypical example of a film that got too big for its britches and only tried to focus on moments rather than a full character arc and a complex, interesting story. This is why Love Song of Vengeance fails when it comes to the plotline. While the original movie had breathtaking scenes, frames, and colors, Love Song of Vengeance only has a couple of scenes that are memorable. Take this scene, for instance, which is one of the few memorable scenes throughout the whole movie, where the wide shot pans to Lady Snowblood's face, which is framed by the graves and anarchists. This is a turning point for her in the movie. Now she is no longer killing because she's being told to, but because she believes in the cause. That being said, we don't even get to see the cause played out. In filmmaking, show not tell is essential to a great movie. In Love Song of Vengeance, instead of showing Lady Snowblood toppling the Meijin, the Emperor's region, they just have a title sequence saying what will happen. Honestly, not having this title sequence at all would have been better, since it would have left an ambiguous ending, which would have been a nice callback to the previous film. This is another issue Love Song of Vengeance struggles with. It's like the film can't decide whether it wants to be a sequel or a standalone. While, yes, there are moments in which Lady Snowblood's background is important, there's no real connection. If the movie is a sequel, why not tie up loose ends? Yet, in Love Song of Vengeance, there's really no mention of Lady Snowblood's mom besides her initial grave visit. We also never learn what happens to Koboe after stabbing Lady Snowblood. In the original movie, there are flashbacks to Lady Snowblood's childhood, but we get none of that here. The only moments that kind of connect the two movies feel like they can easily be cut out and not affect the film at all. There's no real overarching connection besides Lady Snowblood just being there, and she doesn't even want to be Lady Snowblood anymore. With all this being said, had this been a standalone movie, I think it would have been received much better, since then it wouldn't have had to live up to expectations. Thank you for listening to my analysis of Lady Snowblood's downfall.